Ibaksya sila.
Más claro hablar desde TNC y va bien claro que yo después haga aquí firme arquitecta hindi tanto yan na casa kaya naman nila iba aquí saben haga esta tarde y bien bonito con mga programa favor compra el IBAC si ustedes te cree ven aquí na casa para mirar ustedes kilala declaro el IBAC Emedia mo solid.
Apuraya, imanavail el e-box akilang na Emedia Station. MCLL Highway, Divisoria.
Good news! Zamboanga City! Ang paboritong buy one take one burger ng bayan ay nandito na! Minute Burger! Minute Burger sells 100% pure beef patty and strictly no pork products. Tawagin na ang barkada at sugod na! Minute Burger Tetuan, Minute Burger San Jose Gusu, Minute Burger Talon-Talon, Minute Burger Calixto, Minute Burger Canalar are now open to serve you. Order worth of 200 pesos Minute Burger products and get exclusive freebies. Sugod na! For Minute Burger franchise recruitment, please call Miss Cherry Rose Libungan, Area Business Development Manager at 0995-011-8064.
Zamboanga, the Atun Estate.
Solid!
Emedia mo! This is the Zamboanga Task Force COVID-19 Advisory.
Paz de Dios y abrazo de Nuestra Señora la Virgen del Pilar y San Jose a todos. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We kicked off our Zamboanga Hermosa Festival with the theme Safe Hermosa 2020 yesterday, October 1, with the opening of the 16 Cosechas Zamboanga, an agri-fair trade featuring Zamboanga's best products at Plaza Pershing. In the evening, we had a virtual opening salvo featuring the official opening billboard of Safe Hermosa 2020, our calendar of activities, our message and special performances for La Virgen del Pilar at the city's patroness. Because of COVID pandemic, we have to resort to virtual events, competitions, and limited live activities as we abide with the landscape of the new normal. Nonetheless, we are one in prayer to Nuestra Señora la Virgen del Pilar for everyone's wellness, good health, and unity, and hopefully through our virtual activities, we may show hope, love, and faith and joy of our celebration of Zamboanga Hermosa Fest. As part of the city's strategy at risk communications, we're tapping the 98 barangays through their designated information officers to help the city government of Zamboanga in the aspect of information, education, communication in the community level. In collaboration with other national government agencies, the city government initiated the creation of the Barangay Information Officers Network that will serve as a localized information network system for wider information dissemination during the COVID-19 pandemic, together with the PIA and DOH. The CSWDO provided relief assistance to the initial 183 families listed to have been displaced by the fire at Campo Islam last Wednesday, while the Housing Division has started tagging activities to determine the exact number of families affected. The city is providing other forms of assistance to the victims based on the recommendations of the CSWDO. We reaffirm Zamboanga City's commitment to fight extremism and radicalization by strengthening the communication and the roles of families, of women and youth in the grassroots communities in a virtual side event of the Strong Cities Network, where Zamboanga City is the only city in Asia that's part of it, at the United Nations General Assembly Wednesday night. We are among the panel of global leaders and speakers stopped to share our experience in leading local government against countering violent extremism on the ground. Esta noche, querido compoblanos, on the other hand, the Bureau of Fire Protection has a new regional director in the person of Superintendent Bautista, who paid courtesy call in the City Hall. We welcome the homegrown cagers of the Zamboanga Valientes who visited us in the City Hall providing 200 packs of chicken cut-ups and some t-shirts, which will be for our security frontliners. We're looking forward to Monday, the opening of classes for school year 2020-21 under the new normal. Our OIC School Superintendent Dr. Roy Tubalia joins us tonight, presser for us to tell the preparations for that day. As also joining us tonight is Father Roy Ellery Galvez, the administrator of the Fourth Pilar Shrine, to also brief us on the measures that will be carried out during the religious activities in line with the feast of Nuestra Señora la Virgen del Pilar, starting with our novena tomorrow. City Health Officer Dr. Dulce Milarvite and City Tourism Officer Sarita Hernandez are part of our regular presser. Tonight, we turn you over to Attorney Kenneth Daldua. Attorney Ken, buenas noches.
Buenas noches, ma'am. Buenas noches, Ciudad de Zamboanga. Como habla el diaton alcaldesa, este noche na diaton conferencia del prensa ay manjunto con ele el Superintendente del Departamento de Educación aquí na ciudad, Dr. Roy Tubalia, el Administrador del Fortaleza de la Virgen del Pilar, Reverend Father Roy Ellery Galvez, y también el diaton City Tourism Officer ni Sarita Sebastián y el diaton Oficial de Salud, Dr. Dulce Miravite. Y ahora para na magapregunta del miembros del prensa para con el alcaldesa. From Shirley Espino, with respect to the opening of classes for public schools on Monday, how is the coordination between the local government unit and the Zamboanga City Police Office, especially to remind internet shop owners not to allow minors to enter their premises as part of the health and the safety protocols being put here in the city of Zamboanga?
Actualmente, Shirley, Chiniquidal Child Internet Protection Ordinance, where I passed when I was a city councilor as amended, it is really for the protection of children against internet use, especially during school hours. However, with the new normal where the quarantine protocols provided persons below 21 years old and those over 60 are not allowed to be exposed because of COVID pandemic, these protocols will have to be respected and practiced and implemented.
From Santos Cortez, cosa el dituyo reaksyon na alegaw droga de cocaine kaya confiscada el otro día pero aparece después de cuantos días ya sale kay este un klase de azúcar.
Sai necesita kita manda con este investiga más por causa ya llama kita con General Gambay. Y también ay referi kita con el jefe del PIDEA ng Gobyerno Nacional para estudiar el mga mejores donde el día del mga polisía lokal ket asel dila trabajo ay queda también guided accordingly. Because apparently na dila mga procedures, just sige lang también sila el mga PIDEA policies and we will have it fully investigated.
Ay dale ba de calibre abogado el gobyerno lokal con el mga miembros del diaton policía en tal caso tiene cosa planta counter charges aquellos mga subject con el diaton mga apprehending officers?
Tay, desde antes el gobierno local te extende el diaton mga legal assistance con aquellos mga pulis por causa in the performance of duty, tiene presumption of regularity el dila mga function. And definitely, we are here to defend our police as well.
From Julie Alipala, is the local government unit of the city of Zamboanga all set for the opening of classes? What assurance do you have that teachers and school personnel will be safe from COVID?
Well, I think the DepEd has already exercised the necessary safety protocols. And first of all, allow me to greet all our teachers, an International Happy Teachers Celebration. We're proud of you, our true heroes also for our children. Our teachers have been briefed already in the safety protocols and some of them have been texting me because no one really is free from the COVID pandemic. That's why everyone will exercise the minimum health standards that is applicable to all.
Still from Julie Alipala, as the Regional Peace and Order Council Chair, is the Zamboanga Peninsula region safe? And what are the measures or actions being taken to ensure the safety of the entire region?
Julie, as what we have stated from the very beginning, for 2 weeks already, that there have been reports of terrorist perpetrations in Zampen, or the probable entry of terrorists, particularly female bombers, and also foreign bombers coming in with the plan of kidnapping and bombing. That is why we have been warning the people to exercise the necessary precaution. The police and military cannot man an entire space. That is why everyone should be responsible. Based on the incident of the unfortunate kidnapping of Mr. Triplet, on the other hand, looking at the gains, speaking with General Nicolas, it is the shortest recorded kidnapping incident so far in 14 days that the security forces, combined the police, military, was able to rescue. Nonetheless, there is still a heightened level of alert in Region 9 against bombing and terrorism. That is why we are appealing to everyone to be very cautious. Allow me to commend the residents earlier for the nabbing of a person that was disguising himself wearing a hijab. He is being profiled by the intelligence community so that we will be able to determine the true purpose of his duplicity. And it was our resident that proactively reported to the police. That is why, Julie, I advise our security forces to be readily available, and we will be deploying more security personnel as provided by Pro9.
From Angelique Alejandro, ay permiti ba mandasale afuera con el mga bata y mga senior citizens? Si por ejemplo, quiere sila visita na Fortaleza de la Virgen del Pilar, na mga parque y otros pa mga lugar.
Angelique, en este tiempo no hay padaling orden kanatun el IATF, aquellos below 21 and above 60, hindi pa permitido para sali. Yablagane kanatun si Secretary Galvez, que necesita gayot kita man-exercise ang mga prekosyon por causa kay no kere kityola ko ng mga social distancing protocols at this time of the pandemic when we're still fighting big numbers of more than 400 positive cases.
¿Qué tal el observación del primer día del Zamboanga Hermosa Festival? Particularmente aquel mga actividad que ya permití hacer el gobierno local.
Tarindi kita gracias con el sector del agricultor, también con el mga partners di aton mga sembradores, por causa bien de esperanza katin mga aktibidad y abri ayer. El di aton mga cosechas ketalya, kita vende both the fishery and agri products are very inspiring, as well as those that are into the new hobby of plantitos. That's why we are very thankful to them. Although bien tame gayot el di aton mga aktibidades, pero el cosechas de Zamboanga tadalika naton el esperanza kay el main celebration really is in honor of Nuestra Señora la Virgen del Pilar.
From Eugene Lasprilla, implementation of health protocols at the barangay level is very hard and challenging, in spite of continuous community transmission. Barangay personnel are already exhausted, and some already manifest the symptoms of the virus, are hesitant to submit themselves for swabbing due to the prevailing problems in their barangays. Are there measures being put by the city government to help barangay officials and personnel who are working very hard to comply with the mandate of the executive order related to the pandemic? Because if they get sick, the barangay operations will be hampered.
Eugene, as a kagawad, the city government is extending our assistance for all frontliners. Please coordinate with the Office of Dr. Dulce. At the onset of any symptoms, you must submit yourselves for medical care. Remember, the barangay can go on because we will have shifting of personnel, but we will never allow our frontliners, our barangay personnel to be serving and sick. We will not be able to accomplish our work if we ourselves are sick. That is why we ask you to coordinate with Dr. Dulce, because the city government has available resources to ensure that you as frontliners will be taken care of, even the provision of vitamins as well.
Y el último pregunta estaba siempre con Eugene Lasprilla, y deklaraya ko ng syudad como bajo na Modified General Community Quarantine hasta el fin del mes de octubre. ¿Tiene ba mga nuevo reglamento ya sa el gobierno lokal?
Eugene, as of this moment, we have the same mga reglamentos que tiene kita and pirmi kita tauwi ko ng que se llama IATF para guía ka natin. El DILG también evalúa ko ng Ciudad de Zamboanga as far as the implementation of COVID protocols, and we also scale it down to the police. So far, we maintain the same standards and policies as set by the NIATF.
Muchas gracias, ma'am. At
Thank
this
you.
point, to give us the most recent updates on the efforts of the Department of Education with respect to the opening of classes, let us listen to the presentation of the City Schools Division Superintendent of the Division of Zamboanga City, Dr. Roy Tubalia.
Buenas noches, especially to our mayor, Sir Kenneth, and everyone else in this meeting. Allow me to present my let me share to you my screen so that you will see my presentation. This is the status of the Zamboanga City's preparation to open of classes on October 5, 2020. We will be talking about enrollment count, the SLM readiness, or self-learning modules readiness, printing and development, school health and safety readiness, status of procurement, challenges, and upfront balik eskwela public assistance. Now for the quick count, as you can see, we have all in all 202,700 as of October 2, 2020. This is for public schools only, so we have achieved already the 90%, which is way beyond the target set by the central office, which is only 75%. As you can see the figure, you have there from kinder, elementary, junior, as well as senior high school. And we included also ALS, which is 31% of our enrollment. A significant increase in senior high school enrollment due to transference of learners coming from the private schools. The baseline data of this one is the school year 2019-2020 enrollment. As you can see, there is a jump in the a jump of 43% as compared to last year sa senior high schools, because as I have explained a while ago, there are transfers coming from the private schools, in particular sa senior high schools, because there are private schools who already signified temporary closure because of difficulties in the operation. And then for SLM readiness, so we are referring to the self-learning modules, or we call it for Zamboanga City, our locally developed SLM capsulet, capsulized learning empowerment toolkit. So for week 1, we are already 100%, and then for week 2, we are 83%. For the distribution, we are at 88% as of October 2, and we are sure that before October 5, we are already 100% for week 1. For week 2, zero distribution pa, but it will continue in the succeeding weeks. And then for the status of procurement, there are two sources of funds when it comes to the procurement of part of the self-learning modules or capsulet. We have funds coming from the central office, and then we also have coming from the Special Education Fund, or SEF. So for the Special Education Fund, we have allotted this one for the printing and development of our SLM capsulet, and we have allocated, realigned a budget of the SAF for this year, which is around 70 million, and 59 million of which has already been bidded out, meaning to say it will be scheduled for delivery. From the central office funds, we received around 81 million. This is allocated for the second quarter printing. So hindi na magpiprinting at the school level. So meron ng printing na i-hire natin ang DepEd kasi there is enough funds already that was given to us. And out of 81 million, 25 million ang na-bid out, because which is equivalent to 30% of the total funds. It is because we are having difficulty in the supplier. But we are assured that there will be suppliers, so that is why we sent invitation even outside of Zamboanga City. And we are sure, and we are quite confident that we will be 100% in terms of procurement. And for the health and safety readiness of our schools and everyone else, especially the offices, we have distributed on a 1-to-1 ratio disposable masks and alcohol, as well as for our frontliners, school head by our school head teachers, as well as our non-teaching personnel. We have distributed in a 1-to-1 ratio the following items: disposable masks, alcohol, and face shields. And for the schools, we have already disinfected all of them, and we have established and maintained school health safety protocols. It's because we are mandated to also procure health and sanitation materials and equipment. And then, of course, there can be no new thing without any challenges. Since this is a new normal, there are a lot of challenges, and it is categorized into two, logistical as well as the BELCP actual rollout. The logistical challenge number one, it is composed of printing and procurement. There is already a shortage of the supplies, of the printing supplies, no, in terms of bond paper as well as the ink and other printing related equipment. And then we also have limited suppliers or bidders. Kasi not only is Zamboanga City having the printing, but all over the Philippines and all over the world are also having the same, especially parts of Southeast Asia. I'm quite confident on that. And then the intervention that we have made is that we have school-based printing, and we invited more suppliers outside of Zamboanga City because it cannot be avoided. We really need to print this module so that we can be ready, and that is why we have 100% for week 1 and ongoing yung second week as well as the succeeding weeks. But there are schools, I'm really happy to report to the public that there are schools that they have already reached until week 4, week 5, and week number 6 for the first quarter. And then logistical challenge number 2 is the distribution. It's particularly the distance from the school as well as the transportation. It is because we are aware that our public conveyances are operating at 50% capacity, and when we have 50% capacity, maybe there is also increase in the transportation fare. So that is why our intervention is that we issued policies on alternative work at home so that our teachers, especially those who are not allowed to report to their respective stations, they will be working at home. So that is why we issued the policy, we disseminated, we reiterated the policy at the Department of Education. And we also we also have provision of digital SLM capslet for those parents who prefer not to get anymore the printed capslet, because our plan for week 1, we intend to distribute 100% of the enrollees, 100% of them, each one of them, 1-to-1 ratio, mabibigyan ng printed capslet. But there are parents who are apprehensive to go out. It is because there is always exposure the moment you go out of your respective residences. So that is why we provided them with the digital copies of the SLM capslet. Kasi we always believe, we stand by this operation strategy wherein the lesser the movement of the people, the lesser the exposure to the virus. And indeed, some parents signified na hindi na lang sila kukuha sa printed capslet. Instead, they will be given digital copies of the SLM capslet. And then, logistical challenge number 3 is the health risk, especially our teaching and non-teaching personnel who are reporting to the schools. Kasi this week, we have conducted already distribution of our capslet because we want that by October 5, we will hit the ground running. So start na talaga. Well, no more distribution and any other activities. Para kung if it's an opening of classes, it's really an opening of classes, and it's really the start of the classes. So of course, there are health risks, especially exposure of teachers and parents to the virus transmission. So our intervention, we issued policy on the following: strict implementation of health and safety protocols. We keep on repeating, and we have tarpaulins as well as other information materials so that the public as well as our teachers will be aware, and even everyone else. And then we require schools to provide face masks, face shields, gloves, and sanitizers for teachers who are directly involved in the rollout of in the distribution of the capsule as well as in the actual rollout of the BALCP. For those teachers who are working at home kasi they are not allowed to report, some of them may no longer be given face masks and face shields since there is no need for them na magkaroon pa ng face shields and face masks and gloves kasi they are not directly involved. But they have separate responsibilities assigned to them by the principals, and we leave that matter to the principals. And then logistical challenge another logistical challenge is the security risk because, as mentioned by Mayor a while ago, the threat of terrorism as well as kidnapping. So that is why we coordinated with the Joint Task Force Commander, Colonel Divina Gracia, because we want to ensure teacher safety during travel to the island schools and other critical areas. So yun po ang ginagawa namin, and this week our team sa School Governance and Operations Division headed by Dr. Contorno met with the Joint Task Force headed by Colonel Dimigras, and they gave the commitment to secure our teachers. And then, of course, aside from the printed capslet, we intend to roll out our basic education learning continuity plan using the internet. But the problem is slow internet connection. So that is why, as part of our intervention, we coordinated with the Department of Information, DICT, and then we train teachers on various online delivery platforms so that if there is a slow connection, kasi like for example, if you will be conducting classes through online, especially video conference-based application, medyo mahirap kapag may slow connection ka. But kahit na slow connection ka, if you will be using applications which is chat-based, it can still be done. So there are two options for internet-based conduct of classes using the video conference-based like what we are using now, Zoom at saka Google Meet, and then the other option is messenger and chat-based application. So there are plenty to choose from, and we have trained many of our teachers on these online delivery platforms. And then the conduct of such classes will be dependent upon the agreement of the school principals, the teachers, and also the consent of the parents, because there are also risks involved, especially as mentioned by Mayor na internet protection policy. So yun po ang we adhere to that policy of the city. And then on the actual BLCP rollout, the conduct of classes by October 5, these are the anticipated challenges. So that is why, especially there is difficulty actually the delivery of instruction. It could either be print-based, digital, offline, at saka yung online. So tatlong klase kasi yung mangyayari. And then there is also TV-based as well as radio-based instruction. So our model that we have adopted for Zamboanga City is that we provide our learners with printed or digital copies of our SLM capslet. And then yung TV at saka radio and all other learning modalities like internet, video conference-based as well as chat or messenger-based, these are supplementary to our main delivery mode, which is the printed or digital capslet. So in order to fully implement that, we have the following interventions. We have the webinars of school heads and teachers on various learning delivery modes, LDMs, like full online video conference-based instruction, unlimited online chat-based instruction, and communication. Like, let me emphasize that chat as well as messenger not only can be delivery mode, but also a means of communication, because it will be a lot cheaper as compared to text as well as call. And then we also provided webinars on MPSS, mental and psychological support services or psychological first aid. Our nurses, our medical team headed by Dr. Araujo is already well equipped, and they have already conducted trainings for our teachers. It is because we cannot deny that in this time of pandemic, there are also problems like psychological in nature, and we are prepared to do that, to cater to that kind of crisis, especially sa ating mga parents, the teachers themselves, as well as the learners. And then there is continuous development and production of our SLM capslet. And then for TV and radio-based instruction, which I have said a while ago, is a supplement for our SLM capslet. We forged MOA with our TV and radio station. We invoke the NTC policy issuances on public service obligation. So in fact, we are very thankful with the initiative of our regional director, Boris, when he invited one of the directors of NTC based in Zamboanga City, and he revealed to us that there is such a policy on public service obligation wherein our TV as well as radio stations are obliged to provide, in times of calamities and pandemic, to provide also number of hours or either radio or TV airtime. And then we issued policies also to provide teachers with load allowance. It is because we cannot deny that printed and digital capslet, TV and radio-based instruction and online may not be enough. It is because we would like that our parents would feel that they are being really supported. So that is why we issued a policy to provide teachers with load allowance ranging from 100 up to maximum of 300 as long as their MOE budget will allow. So yun po, dapat yung mga teachers natin will be able to call upon the parents if there is a signal in the area, because we want them to give our parents active support. Hindi sila maghihintay na tawagin pa ng kanilang mga parents, but they will be there to call the learners as well as the parents. That way, we will be sure that the schedule of learning for our students and pupils will always be on track, and they are being followed through and followed up. And parents would feel that they are being supported. And in order to do that, yun na nga, as I said, bibigyan ng load yung mga teachers natin by October 5. And even before October 5, especially those who are involved in the development of our capslet and the writing of the capslet, nabibigyan na rin sila. And then, for more information and all other particulars, please contact our Oplan Balik Eskwela Action Center. So we have the main command center is in the division and in the quadrants, the district, as well as we would suggest that if there are really concerns, it should be addressed first by the school heads as well as the teachers. Only when these queries will not be answered by school heads and teachers, then they can elevate it either to the district, to the quadrant heads, or the division office itself. So for the division hotlines, these are the following: 993-1514 and then 991-6004. And we would like to inform our friends in the press that we will not be accepting invitations for interview by Monday because we will be busy and we want to monitor, to go around, and then we will be inviting them for a press con on Tuesday morning at Human Resource Development Center situated at the Zamboanga City Central Schools. That way, if there are inquiries from your part, you may already invite yourself in so that we can discuss it together. So there are really difficulties. We are facing uncertainties. But if all of us will work together, because it takes the whole village to educate a child, that is really present now, especially with the full cooperation and active participation by our LGUs and all other sectors. We have worked out a great basic education learning continuity plan for Zamboanga City, and we believe that it together will be fully implemented and successfully implemented if only we will sustain our cooperation and partnership. Because we always believe for Zamboanga City that nothing is impossible. Believe together we can. Why? Kusa imposible. Kre hunto-hunto pwede. Dugtong-dugtong. Tulong-tulong. Sama-sama natin isulong Edo kalidad. Thank you very much and buenas noches again.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Roy Tubalia, for that very comprehensive and informative presentation. At this point, sir, we shall address to you some of the questions which were not addressed by your presentation. Earlier, the superintendent was able to answer most of the questions, particularly with respect to the number of enrollees as well as the target which has been surpassed. He also answered with respect to the procurement of our capslet as well as the status of this procurement. He was also able to address as to the assistance being given by the Department of Education to our mentors, our dear public school teachers. And now some of the questions, sir, from Shirley Espino. The Department of Education will hire learner support aides or LSAs to assist the teachers under the blended learning system. In the city of Zamboanga, how many LSAs are needed and are there applicants already?
With regards to that, sir, we have not yet received directives from the central office, but we have heard about such move coming from the central office. We will inform the public as soon as the directives and the instruction will be made available.
Now, for the questions of Miss Angelique Alejandro, I will just translate this into English so that our good superintendent will be able to answer more accurately. With respect to the data that you have, do you have information as to the number of students who have transferred to our public schools coming from the private schools?
Actually, sir, based on what I have presented a while ago, we have exceeded our enrollment as compared to last year sa senior high school. So by 43, if I remember it right, it is by 43%. So many of our learners talaga nag-transfer coming from the private senior high schools because many of them have temporary close. They have already temporary closed mainly because of difficulty in the operations and also their preparedness for their basic education learning continuity plan.
Sir, you also mentioned earlier that you have exceeded your target. May we know if do you have information with respect to the students who have not enrolled?
With regards to the students who have not yet enrolled, we are exerting best effort so that they will finally decide to enroll. And as far as I know, the enrollment still extends up to November. So that is why there is still room for them to really enroll. And that is why we are after the opening of classes, and we have issued directives also to the scholars to conduct child find activities, meaning to say, hanapin nila ang mga batang ito kung nasaan na, tapos pipilitin na i-enroll, sort of.
How many public school teachers have contracted the COVID virus, sir?
To date, there are around 11 cases. This would include already public school teachers, including non-teaching personnel. And so far, out of the 11, 4 yung active and the rest have already recovered. And they are on the road to recovery na sila.
Sir, Angelique Alejandro is asking, why is that majority of the public schools here in the division of Zamboanga City prefer modular mode of learning, even if the parents would prefer online classes?
With regard to that, sir, ganito yan. As I have stated in my presentation a while ago, our main mode of delivery talaga is printed or digital modules. And the TV-based as well as online will only be supplemental or can be an alternative. It is because there are parents also who can afford the online, the full online, unlimited online option, but many or majority of greater majority of our learners cannot afford. So that is why we want to ensure that all of them are afforded the opportunity for learning this time. And we are quite thankful with the administration and support of Mayor Beng Climaco, wherein she spearheaded the alignment of the budget sa SAF natin around 70 million to support also our efforts sa basic education learning continuity plan. And in fact, scheduled for delivery na yung printing equipment natin, which will really help actually sa mga printing and reproduction activities natin sa SLM capslet. Actually, with full support, of course, of the local school board composed of all the members.
Superintendent Tubalia, sir, you mentioned earlier that a feature of this blended learning is the use of our radio and television networks in the delivery of lessons to our learners. Have you conducted a dry run on this?
There are already test run as well as dry run that we have conducted, and we have proven that it can be done. But as I said, these are only supplemental to our main mode of delivery, which is printed or digital SLM capslet.
At this point, sir, we shall ask the questions coming from Julie Alipala. Do you require the teachers to post photos and passwords of their Zoom classes or meetings with students? According to her, this kind of digital behavior might compromise online safety of students and their families.
So far, sir, we have not issued such instruction to our teachers. It is because they are well aware of the data privacy law. And we have conducted already, they have been informed already by their principals that in those kinds of instances, they may be held liable. And we do not want to compromise the health and cybersecurity, health safety and cybersecurity, not only of our pupils, but also for our learners. It is because we stand by the principle that while we desire so much to successfully implement our basic education learning continuity plan, but we will do so only without compromise to the health and safety of our teachers as well as our pupils. It's because by October 5, it will be World Teachers Day, kaya advance happy Teachers Day sa mga teachers natin. And allow me to use this opportunity to express my appreciation to our teachers kasi I have been a teacher once and mahal na mahal po namin yung mga teachers namin. Ayaw namin sila magkasakit.
Lastly, sir, are there any measures that are being adopted to ensure that classes online will be safe from hackers?
There are measures, and we have emphasized that to our school heads as well as our monitors in the fields, particularly our education supervisors as well as district supervisors. As we said, we made them aware of the data privacy law as well as its possible violations if ever there are things that they do which is not in accordance with such law.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Roy Tubalia, for joining us in tonight's presser. Thank you very much, sir. You are now excused.
Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity.
Este tiempo, alegre kita kaya manjunto ka naton el administrador del Fortaleza de la Virgen del Pilar para contesta cuantos mga pregunta acerca el mga preparasyon que taase el Diaton Archdiocese para na venidero celebración del Fiesta Pilar. Buenas noches, Father. Y el primosa ni Angelic Alejandro, kosaya el preparasyon que taase ustedes na Fort Pilar Shrine, including el observance del health protocols y el seating capacity y otros pa mga asunto relatado con este.
Good evening na todo, especialmente kun Mayor, kun Dr. Dulce, and to everyone na kentagyara tanunto ko nato na Zoom, no? To answer that question, from the time na yadalya ka naton elgo signal para tiyan kita mass gathering, no? Yaman follow ya kami kunil mga health protocols, no? Tiyan kita taman encourage kunil mga devotees na ken bene aki to wear mask, no? Every time na bene sila aki, and then thermal checking tiyan kita taase, and then taman na kita entra kayos mga tiyan QP, and then yaman yan initiate namin kami ang QR code, and then as the QR code pati LQP taas kita is for contact tracing, no? And then always taman remind kami kung mga gente about social distancing and including ganin na communion, no? Yaman device kita na there are only 4 ways on the pwede man receive el Holy Communion, no? Kay para man discourage ta kunan mga gente naman man encuentro during the time del communion. And then LD aton capacity ara is 50% of the seating capacity, and ara 200 at 500 di aton seating capacity, pero man maintain kita syempre 2 meters na yan advice ka naton LIATF local, no, para sige kita social distancing. And then mga seats di aton aki yaman mark ya kita mga paint para man guide ko ng mga devotees na donde sinta pati donde hindi sinta to maintain akel 2 meters, no, in front pati sideward, no. And then mga monoblock chairs tamens man mark kita with paint para man encourage ko ng mga gente na hindi ko na mobe, and then amo kita sa usa para social distancing, no. And then kaya lang tamen yung abla na even na maya el misa yan abla gani yung akin na office no kay takiman kami ara na Port Pilar kay ta preparation for tomorrow no. Every day man kita man run kunel di aton let wall para man remind kunel mga hente about el mga protocols and then para man guide tamin kunel mga hente every time na te-enter sila kina Fortaleza.
Father, kemodo kita pwede man regulate kung el numero del mga devotees que ay entra adentro na diaton Fortaleza.
Una, aquel debegat kita akorda todo el kenta uwi kumigo ara no maskin del endenante yung mga taman celebrate yung misa no. Number one is man discourage kita kunel mga senior to come kay siyempre tali pa man siyempre el ruling ng IATF na vulnerable el mga senior citizens no and then el mga youth tamen di aton 21 down we discourage them also to come so el kinang gayot pwede entra akina Fortaleza kayos kenta karga el QP na quarantine pass no and then akil mga certification na mga natrabaho sila no and of course akil QR code na yaman ase kami and then el can ayuda ka namon especialmente ara na Rubina para man regulate ko nila gente no we have the police and the military and also the local government unit na headed by Mayor Beng no so for our masses we will only allow 500 devotees to come in no and then el next misa pidi kita ko ng mga devotees na man provide kita kanila a place na pwede sila man wait for the next mass and yadalya kita a letter kun Dr. Alon na fisheries para amo kita si asel di atong holding area no and during the mass yaman agree tamen na meeting yesterday and this morning no na to hindi man discourage ani kita kun mga devotees entras hindi aldila candles but we will only allow them to light the ila candles during after el masses para at least pwede kita man maintain el social distancing and then el capacity adentro hindi kita man exceed na 500.
Hasta ko sa ora lang ba abierto el diaton Fortaleza ina Oktubre 12 ay esta abierto Father?
Open kita 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. no and el pecha 12 abierto kita sabi tu gani kita 8 masses na celebra na pecha 12 no kay that is really the day na debe kita man thank you kung nandi ato nana.
El siguiente pregunta Father observa ba kita kung el first come first serve basis para pwede entra adentro esta na misa Father?
In a sense pwede man kita abla na dolan sinay no pero kaya lang nyo ase un poquito clarification no abla kita kung nakelos mga sponsor kun el misa kahit siya naman kita mga sponsors daily no especialmente el alas 5 misa no so diyan kita mga letters na ya India kanila and we also ask them to only to send only limited number of person to attend the mass para pwede kita man maintain el 500 capacity no so una anay sila manda kita kanila entra el mga sponsors and then el mga seats na doon di kita reserve kanila and 15 minutes before el misa nanoy pa siyempre representative from that Kenman sponsor then we will allow those people who went in walk in man sinta LD ila mga reserve seats no and then namisa tamen di aton ken taliuna man ano pa to man linya para entra aki na Port Pilar so sila una kita man da entra aki so more or less dol hindi man si tabla kita na ano pa to first come first basis no pero siyempre ken tali debe kita man da entra kanila.
Siya na ba ito otro pa mag-aaviso pero kanadiaton mag-compoblanos kanadiaton mga religious faithful Father?
Yeah. Una is ano to. Este año bien bonito kayo era kay este año ta celebra kita el 60th canonical coronation del diaton nana. Cosa este canonical coronation 60 years ago, yaben aki el Papa Nuncio, si Archbishop Sinyo, no, the late Archbishop Sinyo. And then kundo ligaliki, yaase kita el celebration del coronation del Diato Nana. Coronation means na este area tadali kita way kunan mga gente bene, and then that's the start na chenya kita mga misa agi. So it was really a celebration, no, kay el di aton mga devotees hindi lang bene agi sindi kandela, but man celebrate el highest form of prayer, and that is the Holy Eucharist, no. Este era kel año. And then kaya tamen nyo habla con ustedes na yes na pandemic kita, and then manada kita mga uncertainties taman experience, no. So we decided na este year el di aton tema del di aton nobina is Virgin Mary, the beacon of light, no. So that el di aton nana, yes tali el mga uncertainties, no, pero el di aton light para man guide ka naton, no. And then kaya lang tamin nyo pidi ko na todo mga Zamboangueño na I know di aton gat estenana, no, maskin man 6 years sayo ara gina Port Pilar hablangan sila ulan kaliente tiyan mga threat tabi nagat kita aki kay kaya kita dali ni di aton pe kunal di aton nana, pero este siguro el time na video ko no ustedes na aquellos mga senior man follow ya lang ustedes kunal misa na FB pati na YouTube, and then also el mga youth, no, and then aquel mga enfermo you will be included in our masses kay todo man el di aton masses daily man live telecast kunele, no, not only in YouTube pati in FB pati also in radio, no. So siguro check nato ustedes way para pwede kunele man follow, no. And then el procession tamen di aton as kita is mobile procession wherein mga cars lang tali, and then man discourage tamen yung kunal mga devotees na para man maintain kita el health protocols di aton, no. So benya lang kita kidiretso no Port Pilar, and then hopefully by next year si kada todo normal, then bira kita otra vez as el di aton ta sige kita na procession, and then bigger number mga gente at kaya dento, no. But este year tapidyo ko no ustedes na como yaman start gani kita kunal pandemic, let us all become heroes to stay home para man save kita hindi lang di atong self but other people and the whole family and the whole community.
Muchas gracias, Father Roy Ellery Galvez, el administrador de Fortaleza de la Virgen del Pilar, nandituyo participasyon in este virtual prayer. Buenas noches, Father.
Buenas noches. Thank you.
At this point, we shall listen to the presentation of the City Health Officer, Dr. Dulce Miravite, with respect to the recent status of our COVID cases here in our city. Buenas noches, Doc Dulce.
The total cases the city is at 1,718 with 89 deaths and 1,236 recoveries. The active cases is at 464. 58 are at Adju Lantaka Isolation Facility. 58 are at Kabatangan Isolation Facility. 53 at Yuntes. 38 at Ecozone. 9 at DOH Kabatangan Isolation Facility. 75 are admitted at Zamboanga City Medical Center. 132 are admitted at private hospitals. Of the active cases, 427 are local or community cases, 26 LSI, and 11 detainees. 62 out of the 98 barangays are with cases, but right now we have 53 barangays with active cases. The top 10 barangays with the most number of active cases are as follows. So we have 31 for Santa Maria, 26 for Talon-Talon, 25 for Tetuan and Tumaga, 21 for Putik and Pasonangka, 20 for San Roque, 19 Calarian, 18 for Mercedes, 14 Baliwasan, 12 for Zone 11 Ayala, and 11 for San Jose Guso. Cumulatively, there are a total of 12,545 suspect cases, 11,823 are with negative results, and we are awaiting for the results of the 555 test specimens that we have submitted to RESU for testing. A total of 14,165 RT-PCR tests have been done this date.
Thank you very much for that update, Doc Dulce. And now for the questions from the members of the press. From Julia Lipala, are school nurses trained for contact tracing and swabbing?
Ma'am Julie, we have initially coordinated with DepEd, but the school nurses have yet to be trained formally for contact tracing.
From Marifita Mayo, cosa el protocol cita saca mga pasyente como el ya sucede aquel caso del una lola, no? Si Mrs. Bantoto, quien ya acudí ayer na pueblo. Ya pasapat cuantos hora antes ilegal ambulancia del CDRRMO hasta ya moría lang el pasyente. Pero cuando ya legal ambulancia del CDRRMO, no hay puede atender enseguida con el abuela.
Yes, Ma'am Marifi, about this, incident report about this and coordination with CDRMO, an official statement about what really happened will be issued soon.
From Glen K. Candia, how is the monitoring of the City Health Office on those who are still in the isolation and quarantine facilities?
Ma'am Clan K, our isolation facilities are assigned with health personnel. And so far, they are monitoring the condition of our patients, and we are so far doing fairly well in our isolation facilities.
Still from Glen K, tiene pa makita taman encounter mga problema acerca mga pasyente de mga otro lugar como el provincia de Tawi-Tawi, después el coordinación kaya sa el gobierno lokal na diato National Interagency Task Force.
Yes, Glen K, there are still concerns we are encountering that we still have to address. We have yet to come with systems and mechanisms, especially on quarantine and isolation of their patients who are in the city.
From Eugene Lasprilla, families with direct contact with positive patients refused to undergo RT-PCR tests are required to be on lockdown for 28 days. Is 28 days too long for the virus to die, as medical experts say that the virus dies within 10 days starting from the day of the contagion?
Yes, Sir Eugene, actually ako taablagan to ako 10 days no. Okay agani. This is with the assumption that all the contacts will be infected all at the same time. But in reality, the contacts will not get infected or will not manifest the symptoms at the same given time. Thus, we extend the lockdown for 28 days to cover and to ensure that we can or we are able to control the transmission of the infection.
Sino pa ba ito otro mag-aaviso para kung nandiyato mag-kompoblanos to?
Yes, recently, tamira kita, tiyan kita mga kaso who have been sick already for more than 5 days. No? So we ask everyone, taablagan na di aton mga viviantes, if you have signs and symptoms or if you are feeling sick, taabla kita please seek medical consultation early so that you will be given the proper treatment early. And please take care. Let us take care of each other and stay safe.
Muchas gracias, Doc Dulce Miravite y todo mga personajes de la Oficina de Salud y otro pa diaton mga health workers na de ustedes dedikasyon, na de ustedes trabajo. Y ahora ay uwi kita con el mensaje del alcaldesa de Ciudad de Zamboanga, Mayor Beng Climaco.
Muchas gracias, Attorney Kenneth, Father Roy, Dr. Dulce, and Dr. Roy. We are in the 7th month of the pandemic and there seems to be no end in the sight for COVID, and we are all exhausted, exasperated, and we suffer from the effects of the pandemic, but we need to carry on and confront the challenges head on. We have to embrace the new normal, put on hold all social events, work remotely as much as possible, and communicate virtually to lessen the contagion. Por eso apela kita, el mga celebration, del mga Thanksgiving parties and weddings have to be very tempered por causa gani kay kini kita insidente del mga manifestations del COVID por causa de estos mga social gatherings, even if we allow social gatherings of 50%. As we remain steadfast in our advocacies and carry out all necessary measures to address and mitigate the impact of the public health crisis, we still have to contend with people to abide by the minimum health protocols. Por primera vez, limitado el celebración del Día de Fiesta Pilar, limitado mga aktibidad y mga devote quien puede anda atender misa y otra actividad religioso durante el fiesta. Devotees are encouraged to celebrate the feast, say prayers, and pay homage to our patroness in their own homes as we strictly implement physical distancing and other measures to avoid infection and contamination. This will not lessen our reverence to our patroness, our mother, who will continue to pray and implore Mary's intercession and protection amid the coronavirus. Otra vez, en calor diamond todo na diaton presa esta noche, quiero kita rin di gracias con Tenil, Ma'am Sheila, Garnet, Wong. Thank you very much, and may God keep us safe and have a safe celebration of Fiesta Pilar. Muchas gracias and happy weekend a todos. Bye.
Zamboanga, di ato na stay.